Chosen one, brace yourself. What I'm about to share might unravel every limit you've ever placed on your life. If these words are reaching your ears, know this: it's no mere coincidence. You've been drawn to this moment by a force far beyond chance, a sacred summons from God Himself, because a seismic shift is stirring within you. The sleepless nights, the heavy doubts, the battles you've fought in silence, they stop here. As you listen, the chains of scarcity and struggle are breaking, replaced by a flood of divine favor that's already rushing toward you. God has been working behind the scenes, orchestrating a cascade of blessings, doors swinging wide, opportunities chasing you down, and resources piling up in ways you've never dared to dream. You're stepping into a chapter where lack becomes a distant memory, where provision flows like a river, and where God's extravagant goodness rewrites your story. This isn't a hopeful guess, it's a heavenly guarantee. The miracles you've whispered about in your quietest prayers, they're not just coming, they're already at your doorstep. Get ready, chosen one, because your life is about to explode into something unrecognizable and unstoppable. Before we dive deeper, let me invite you to join me in something simple yet profound. If these words are speaking to your spirit, if you feel a divine current flowing through them, take a moment to show it. Press that like button, subscribe to this channel, and leave a 99-foot in the comments below. It's more than a gesture, it's a declaration to the universe, a sign that you're ready to embrace this holy truth. Chosen one, your soul knows this message was crafted for you, so stay with me. The road ahead is about to unfold into wonders beyond your imagination. Together, let's magnify this light, building a haven of faith and hope for all who seek it. Your presence here helps keep this sacred message alive. Let's carry it to every corner of the world. The Awakening Call. Chosen one, let's step into this sacred moment together. Are you feeling overwhelmed by the storms of financial hardship right now? Do unpaid bills loom over you like a dark cloud, pressing down on your spirit until it feels like you can't breathe? Are you at a crossroads, staring into the abyss of your life's lowest valley, wondering if there's any way out? Maybe in your quiet moments, you've whispered to yourself, "Has God abandoned me? Am I lost in this chaos with no one to hear my cries?" If these questions echo in your soul, stirring a restless longing within, hear this truth: this video didn't just appear in your feed by chance. It's a divine encounter, a holy signal sent straight from God Himself, urging you to open your heart and listen. Chosen one, there's a message waiting for you, a promise of hope, a spark of transformation, a lifeline of unshakable assurance. Stay with me, because what I'm about to unveil will set your spirit ablaze and guide you to the very end of this sacred journey. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a life where every tear you've cried over money evaporates like dew under the first light of dawn. Can you picture waking up to a reality where the weight of your struggles lifts away, not by your own weary hands, but by a divine force so powerful it reshapes your entire world? Chosen one, this isn't some far-off fantasy, it's the truth God is weaving into your life at this very moment. You've been chosen, not by random luck, but by the intentional hand of the Almighty, to step into a destiny so radiant it will redefine everything you thought possible. Have you ever felt like the universe was conspiring against you, like every effort you made was swallowed by an endless void? What if I told you those battles weren't meant to bury you, but to forge you into the person ready for this divine awakening? Let's linger here and dig deeper. Have you been crying out for a miracle, your voice trembling in the stillness of the night as you plead with God for a sign? Do you feel trapped, like the world spins forward while you're sinking deeper into the mire? Perhaps you've asked yourself, why is this my burden? Why does every step feel like a war? Chosen one, hear this: God has not turned away from you. He's been there through every faltering step, every moment of despair, every second you thought you'd reached your breaking point. And now, He's breaking through with a vow that changes everything: no more endless striving, no more toiling in the shadows. From this hour onward, it's His responsibility to provide, to pour out blessings, to carry you into a season of abundance so vast it defies your wildest dreams. Can you feel that faint pulse of hope flickering through the darkness? That's God's hand, steady and sure, drawing you toward a horizon ablaze with promise. Let me take you back. When was the last time peace wrapped around you like a warm embrace? When did you last open your eyes in the morning free from that gnawing ache of worry? For too many of us, those moments are fleeting, drowned beneath the relentless waves of life's demands. But what if that peace wasn't just a memory to chase? What if it could become the rhythm of your days? Chosen one, God is whispering to you now, be still. I've taken the helm. He's witnessed your fight, the extra hours you've worked, the sacrifices you've made, the dreams you've tucked away in the corners of your heart. He's tallied every tear you've shed, and he's poised to exchange your grief for joy, your scarcity for a flood of provision. Can you sense it, that stirring deep within, that quiet voice assuring you this is your moment? What if every trial you've endured wasn't a punishment, but a divine stepping stone, leading you to this awakening call? Let's go further into this truth. Have you ever stared into the mirror of your life and thought, I'm not enough? Maybe you've measured yourself against others, those who seem to glide through life while you're still piecing yours together. Chosen one, God doesn't see the flaws you fixate on. He sees the strength you've forged, the resilience that's carried you through storms no one else could weather. He's been molding you in the quiet, tempering you through the heat of adversity, because he knows the greatness you hold. Have you ever pondered why some paths stayed closed, why some hopes crumbled to dust? What if those weren't losses, but God's gentle redirection, steering you toward a purpose so grand it stretches beyond your imagination? His plan for you isn't a small, safe box, it's a boundless expanse, a daring adventure, a legacy that outshines anything you've dared to pray for. Now, envision yourself a year from today. The debts that once haunted your nights are settled, the work that sapped your soul is a fading echo, and your heart beats with a peace so profound it defies explanation. Chosen one, this isn't a fanciful daydream, it's the seed of God's promise taking root in your life. He's not merely patching up your finances, he's rewriting your entire narrative from struggle to triumph. Have you ever felt that fleeting spark, that split second where you thought, could things really change? That's God's voice, soft but insistent, urging you to trust him. He's already shifting the unseen, toppling barriers you can't yet perceive, aligning events you can't foresee, all to usher you into this season of overflow. Can you hear it, the crack of breaking chains, the roar of blessings thundering toward you? Let's pause here and breathe it in. Reflect on those moments you felt forsaken, those nights you whispered into the void, God, do you even hear me? Chosen one, he's heard every word. Every prayer you've uttered, every desperate plea, every fragile hope you've clung to, he's gathered them in his hands, ready to pour them back into your life with abundance beyond measure. What if the waiting you've resented was divine preparation, aligning the stars for a breakthrough so monumental it will leave you speechless? God isn't delayed, he's perfectly timed, and this encounter, this very message, is your proof. You're not here by mistake, you're here because God is calling you out of the desert of despair and into the promised land of his favor. The divine shift. Chosen one, a seismic shift is trembling beneath the surface of your life right now. Are the relentless struggles, the chasing after fleeting stability while watching others prosper, wearing you down to the bone? God is stepping into this chaos with a resounding declaration, no more. This isn't just a tweak to your circumstances, it's a divine upheaval, a sacred realignment of your entire existence. Picture the Israelites wandering in the barren desert, their feet blistered, their hope fading, only to witness manna raining from the heavens. That same provision, unexpected, effortless, and abundant, is descending upon you now. Chosen one, this is your moment of divine shift, where the burdens you've shouldered alone are handed over to a power far greater than yourself. Let me paint you a picture with a story, Anna's story. Anna was a single mother of 3, living in a cramped apartment where the walls seemed to close in with every unpaid bill. Her days were a grueling marathon, 2 jobs, one at a diner where the tips barely covered gas, and another cleaning offices late into the night. The weight of it all crushed her spirit. She'd collapse into bed each night, her body aching, her mind racing with questions. How will I feed my kids tomorrow? Will we lose the roof over our heads? She lived on the edge of survival, meals were scraps, sleep was a luxury, and every knock on the door felt like a creditor ready to take what little she had left. In those dark hours, she'd whisper to God, "Where are you? Don't you see us drowning?" Her faith wavered, but she clung to it like a lifeline. Then, one exhausted night, she prayed a broken prayer, "I can't do this anymore, take it from me." The shift came subtly at first. The next week, a coworker at the diner mentioned a side gig, data entry from home, nothing glamorous, but it promised a few extra dollars. Anna hesitated, she was too tired to hope again. But something, a nudge, a whisper, urged her to say yes. She took the chance, and within months, that small gig blossomed into a full-time remote job with steady pay, benefits, and a schedule that let her breathe. Her kids ate full meals again, the bills stopped piling up, and for the first time in years, Anna slept without fear. How did God come to her? Not with trumpets or thunder, but through a quiet opportunity, a door she didn't force open herself. She welcomed it with trembling hands, unsure at first, but as the blessings unfolded, her faith grew stronger. Chosen one, does this sound familiar? Are you, too, drowning in a sea of endless toil, wondering if relief will ever come? God didn't abandon Anna, and He hasn't abandoned you. Let's dive into another story. Michael's tale of despair turned to triumph. Michael was a carpenter, once proud of his craft, until a recession stripped him of everything. Jobs dried up, his savings evaporated, and his family faced eviction from their modest home. The difficulties were suffocating, every day was a scramble to find work, any work, even hauling scrap metal for pennies. He lived in a haze of shame and exhaustion, his hands calloused, his pride broken. Meals were meager, bread and canned soup stretched thin, and his wife's worried eyes haunted him more than the hunger. He'd sit alone at night, staring at the ceiling, asking, "God, have I failed you? Is this all there is?" The world felt like it was closing in, each rejection letter a dagger to his spirit. Then, the divine shift arrived in an unexpected form. A friend from church, someone he hadn't spoken to in years, called one day with an offer, a small renovation job for a local business. Michael almost turned it down, his confidence was shattered, and he doubted he could deliver. But his wife urged him, "Take it. What do we have to lose?" So he did. That job led to another, then a steady contract, and within a year, Michael was running his own small crew, rebuilding not just homes but his life. God came to him through a connection, a human hand extended with divine timing. Michael accepted it reluctantly at first, fearful of another letdown, but as the work flowed, gratitude replaced his doubt. Chosen one, are you standing where Michael stood, beaten down by life, unsure if hope is worth holding on to? Stop sinking into that despair, God is beside you, ready to lift you up just as He did for Michael. Now, let's meet Sarah, a woman whose story echoes through the ages. Sarah was a widow in her late 50s, left with nothing after her husband's sudden death. The difficulties were relentless, medical bills from his illness drained their savings, and her part-time cashier job couldn't keep up with the mortgage. She lived in a fragile balance, skipping meals to pay utilities, wearing threadbare clothes to save every dime. Her nights were sleepless, filled with prayers that felt unanswered. God, why me? What did I do to deserve this? Loneliness gnawed at her, she felt invisible, forgotten by the world and perhaps by God Himself. The shift came through a stranger's kindness. One day, a customer at the store noticed her weary smile and struck up a conversation. That chat led to an offer, help with bookkeeping for his small business. Sarah had no experience, but she said yes out of desperation. That yes opened a floodgate, the man trained her, paid her generously, and soon recommended her to others. Within 2 years, Sarah was debt-free, living comfortably, and even donating to her church to help others in need. God reached her through an unlikely encounter, a moment she could have missed if she'd stayed silent. She embraced it with fear at first, then with growing trust as she saw His hand at work. Chosen one, are you in Sarah's shoes, surviving day by day, questioning if God still cares? Don't let despair swallow you whole. God is right there, weaving a shift in your story just as he did for her. Let's unpack these stories with a lens of faith. Anna, Michael, and Sarah each faced crushing hardships, financial ruin, emotional exhaustion, and a life stripped to its barest threads. They lived in survival mode, stretching every resource, wrestling with doubt, yet holding on to a fragile thread of hope. God didn't come with a grand spectacle, he slipped into their lives through quiet moments, a job offer, a friend's call, a stranger's kindness. Why? Because God's ways are often subtle but always sure, as Psalm 46 verse 1 declares, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. They didn't earn his help with perfect faith, they simply opened their hearts, even slightly, and he rushed in. Chosen one, where are you in this moment? Are you trudging through a season of darkness, where every day feels like a fight just to keep your head above water? Do unpaid bills stack up like mountains, mocking your efforts? Are you waking up to the same grinding routine, wondering if this is all life will ever be? Maybe you've cried out in the night, God, do you see me? Do you care? I'm here to tell you, he does. You're not alone in this pit, you're not forsaken in this storm. The same God who shifted Anna's exhaustion into provision, Michael's shame into purpose, and Sarah's loss into abundance is standing beside you now. Your struggles aren't a sign of his absence, they're the soil where his miracles are taking root. Think about this, why do we assume God has turned away when the road gets rough? In John 16 verse 33, Jesus says, "In this world you will have trouble. But take heart. I have overcome the world." Your difficulties aren't the end of your story, they're the prelude to your divine shift. Anna didn't see the job coming, Michael didn't expect the call, Sarah couldn't predict the stranger's offer. Yet God saw them, just as he sees you. Chosen one, don't let despair be your anchor. Lift your eyes, help is closer than you think. What if that small opportunity you've overlooked, that fleeting kindness you've dismissed, is God's hand reaching out? Let me tell you one more story to seal this truth, David's journey. David was a young man in his 20s, laid off from a factory job during a downturn. Rent was overdue, his car was repossessed, and he couch-surfed at friends' homes to avoid the streets. The hardship was brutal, hunger gnawed at him, rejection letters piled up, and he felt like a failure in his family's eyes. He lived day to day, scavenging for odd jobs, his spirit sinking lower with each no. In his lowest moment, he prayed, God, I'm done. If you're real, do something. The shift came through a chance meeting. A neighbor saw him carrying groceries for an elderly woman and offered him a gig, handyman work for a few bucks. David took it, more out of need than belief. That gig turned into regular work, then a referral to a construction crew, and within a year, he was back on his feet, renting his own place, and saving for a future. God came through a neighbor's casual offer, a spark David nearly missed. He grabbed it with both hands, skeptical but desperate, and as stability returned, his faith reignited. Chosen one, are you at that breaking point, ready to give up? Don't. God's shift is already in motion for you, just as it was for David. So, chosen one, what does this mean for you? Your sleepless nights, your endless worries, your battles fought in silence, they're not your forever. God is here, whispering, no more. He's seen every tear, heard every prayer, and he's orchestrating a turnaround you can't yet see. Anna, Michael, Sarah, and David, they were you once, drowning in despair, yet lifted by his hand. Your divine shift isn't a question of if, it's a matter of when. Stop staring into the abyss of hopelessness, start looking for the cracks where his light is breaking through. He's beside you, chosen one, ready to transform your scarcity into a flood of favor. Trust him, your story is about to change. You are chosen by God. Chosen one, let's dive into the heart of this divine mystery, why you? Why, out of the billions walking this earth, does God turn his gaze toward you with a promise of rescue and redemption? Have you ever stopped to wonder why the Almighty, the Creator of the heavens and the stars, would stoop down to lift you from the mire of your struggles? Let's start with the bigger picture. Why does God save humanity at all? In the beginning, when Adam and Eve fell in the Garden of Eden, sin fractured the perfect bond between God and His creation. Yet, even then, God didn't abandon us. Genesis 3 verse 15 whispers the first promise of a Savior, a seed who would crush the serpent's head. Why? Because God's love is boundless, His mercy unfathomable. John 3 verse 16 tells us, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only Son." He saves humanity not because we deserve it, but because His nature is love, and love seeks to restore what's broken. Chosen one, this is the foundation of your story, God's relentless pursuit of His people, a pursuit that stretches across time and eternity. But why you, specifically? Why does God single you out for this moment of divine favor? Are you drowning in financial chaos right now, wondering if you'll ever break free? Do you feel the weight of unpaid bills pressing down, the sting of rejection from opportunities that slipped away? Perhaps you've asked, what makes me special? Why would God care about my mess? Chosen one, the answer lies not in your resume or your bank account, but in God's heart. In 1 Samuel 16, when Samuel sought a king among Jesse's sons, God didn't choose the tallest or the strongest, He chose David, the overlooked shepherd boy, because He saw his heart. God doesn't measure worth by worldly standards, He looks within. You've been chosen because God sees something in you, a spark of faith, a flicker of resilience, a soul He crafted for a purpose beyond your current struggles. Have you ever felt unworthy, like you don't measure up? God says, "I see you, and I choose you, not for what you lack, but for who I made you to be." Now, let's wrestle with a harder question: does God help everyone struggling with finances? Are all those buried under debt, all those fighting to make ends meet, automatically lifted by His hand? Chosen one, this is where faith and mystery collide. In Matthew 5 verse 45, Jesus says, "He causes His sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous." God's common grace touches all, His provision sustains the world, believer and skeptic alike. But there's a deeper rescue, a divine intervention reserved for those who turn to Him. Romans 10 verse 13 promises, "Everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved." Does this mean God ignores those who don't believe? Not entirely. His mercy often flows beyond our understanding, as seen when He fed the 5,000, not checking their faith first. Yet, chosen one, your openness to Him, your willingness to trust, sets you apart. God doesn't force His blessings, He offers them, and you've said yes, maybe not with words, but with the quiet yearning of your heart. Does God open His arms to everyone, then? Is His love a blanket thrown over all humanity without distinction? In one sense, yes. 1 Timothy 2 verse 4 says God desires all people to be saved and to come to the knowledge of the truth. His heart beats for every soul, every wanderer, every skeptic. But there's a sacred partnership here. Jesus says in John 6 verse 44, "No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws them." Chosen one, God is drawing you. His call isn't a random broadcast, it's a personal invitation. Does He only embrace those who believe in Him and themselves? Faith is the key that unlocks the door, but God's grace often precedes our belief. Think of the prodigal son in Luke 15, he didn't earn his father's love, he simply came home, and the father ran to meet him. You're chosen not because you've mastered faith, but because God's love has mastered you. Have you doubted your worthiness? God's answer is a resounding, "You are mine." So why you, chosen one? Why not the person next to you, the one who seems more polished or pious? Because you're walking the path He's laid before you, a path of trials, yes, but also of triumph. You're His child, knit together in your mother's womb with a purpose only you can fulfill, Psalm 139 verse 13. You carry His mission, a calling etched into your very being. Let me tell you about Thomas, a man I once knew. He grew up in a rough neighborhood, barely scraping by, mocked for his tattered clothes. "God doesn't care about me," he'd mutter, kicking stones down the street. One day, broken, he stumbled into a church. A stranger handed him a Bible, and as he read Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," something shifted. Thomas started a small repair shop with borrowed tools, trusting God despite the odds. Today, he employs dozens, many from the same streets he once walked. Why Thomas? Because God saw his heart, chose him, and placed him on a path to reflect his glory. Chosen one, that's your story too. God's chosen you because you're his, and he's entrusted you with a mission only you can carry. Let's unpack this further. Why does God save at all? Beyond love, it's about his glory. Isaiah 43 verse 7 says we're created for his glory. Every rescue, every blessing, points back to him, a testament to his power and grace. When he lifts you from financial ruin, chosen one, it's not just for your comfort, it's so the world sees his hand at work. Have you ever felt like your struggles disqualify you? God says, they qualify you, to be my witness. You're chosen because your life will shout his praise, because your turnaround will silence doubters. Think of Moses, stuttering, exiled, a murderer, yet God chose him to lead a nation. Why? Because God's strength shines brightest in our weakness, 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9. Your financial battles. They're the canvas for his masterpiece. Does this mean only the faithful get help? Not quite. God's ways are higher than ours, Isaiah 55 verse 9. He blessed the widow of Zarephath in 1 Kings 17, a foreigner with little faith, because her need moved his heart. Yet, chosen one, your faith, however small, amplifies his response. Matthew 17 verse 20 says faith like a mustard seed moves mountains. Have you trusted him, even faintly? That's why he's choosing you, your belief opens the floodgates. But what about those who don't believe? God's mercy still reaches them, rain falls on all, but his deepest provision, his eternal rescue, flows to those who seek him. You're chosen because you've turned your face toward him, even if it's through tears. Why you, then? Because you're his child, destined for more than survival. Ephesians 2 verse 10 declares, we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand. Your struggles aren't random, they're training for your calling. Let me tell you about Sarah, a single mother I met years ago. She lost her job, her home, everything. God, why me, she'd sob. One day, a friend offered her a sewing machine. With no experience, she started mending clothes, praying over each stitch. That grew into a business, then a ministry, clothing the homeless. Why Sarah? Because God chose her to carry his light into dark places. Chosen one, you're no different, your path, your pain, your purpose, all divinely appointed. Let's linger on this. Why does God choose some and not others? It's a mystery wrapped in grace. Romans 9 verse 15 says, I will have mercy on whom I have mercy. His choice isn't about fairness, it's about his sovereign love. But here's the hope, his arms are wide, and his call is loud. You're chosen because you've heard it, because you're his, because your life will echo his goodness. Have you felt insignificant? God says, you're my ambassador. Your financial woes, they're the stage for his deliverance. Your doubts, they're the soil for his miracles. Chosen one, you're his, walking his path, bearing his mission. Get ready, because he's about to show the world why. Signs of God's blessings. Chosen one, do you see the signs? That unexpected kindness from a stranger, that sudden idea that sparked in your mind, could they be God's whispers of what's to come? He's already setting the stage for your abundance, and his presence is all around you, weaving through the fabric of your life in ways both subtle and profound. But how does God come to you? In what ways does he reveal himself when you're searching for hope? Can you recognize his hand at work, or are you too caught in the storm to notice? Let's unpack this together, because the signs of God's blessings are not distant, they're right here, waiting for you to see them. God comes to you in countless ways, chosen one. Sometimes it's through the stillness of a quiet moment, when your heart suddenly feels lighter for no reason you can explain. Other times, it's in the chaos, through a friend's timely encouragement, a door that opens just when you thought all were closed, or a provision that arrives when your hands are empty. Have you ever stopped to wonder why certain people cross your path at just the right time? What if that wasn't luck, but God's deliberate touch, guiding you forward? In the Bible, Elijah in 1 Kings 17 was fed by ravens in the midst of a famine, a strange, unexpected delivery straight from God's hand. Chosen one, your ravens might look different, maybe it's a check in the mail, a kind word, or a sudden opportunity, but they're no less divine. Can you see it? God doesn't always shout, often, He whispers, and His blessings come wrapped in the ordinary, waiting for you to unwrap them. So, what are the signs that God is present with you? Look closer, chosen one. It's in the sunrise that greets you after a sleepless night, a reminder that His mercies are new every morning, as Lamentations 3 verses 22 to 23 promises. It's in the strength you find to take one more step when you thought you'd collapse. Have you ever felt a surge of courage you couldn't explain, a peace that settled over you despite the chaos? That's God, standing beside you, breathing life into your weary soul. It might be a phone call from someone you haven't spoken to in years, offering exactly what you need, be it advice, a job lead, or simply a listening ear. Or perhaps it's a moment of clarity, when a problem that's plagued you for months suddenly unravels. Chosen one, these aren't coincidences, they're God's fingerprints, pressed into the details of your life. Are you looking for them, or are you letting them slip by unnoticed? Let's dive into some stories that bring this to life. Take James, a man I met years ago. He'd lost everything, his business collapsed during a recession, his savings evaporated, and he faced eviction from his small apartment. God, have I failed you? He'd ask, staring at an empty fridge, his faith hanging by a thread. One day, a friend he hadn't seen in over a decade called out of the blue, offering a no-strings-attached loan. James wrestled with his pride, should he accept it, or keep struggling alone? But something told him to trust. He took the money, used it to start a small online store, and within a year, that venture grew into a thriving cafe. Today, James employs others who faced hardship, turning his blessing into a ripple of hope. Was it just good fortune? No, chosen one, it was God coming to him through an old friend, a sign of His presence in the nick of time. Have you had a moment like that, where help arrived when you least expected it? That's God, showing up in disguise. Here's another story. Maria, a single mother, was drowning in debt after her husband left her with 2 young kids. She worked double shifts, barely sleeping, her prayers reduced to a desperate, God, why me? One rainy afternoon, her car broke down on the way to work, she had no money for repairs and no way to get there. As she sat on the roadside, tears streaming, a stranger pulled over. He was a mechanic, and without a word, he fixed her car for free. Later, he slipped her his card, saying, "Call me if you need anything." That card led to a steady job at his shop, then a promotion, and now Maria owns her own repair business. Chosen one, was that random kindness just a fluke? No, it was God sending a rescuer, a sign that He's closer than you think. Have you ever been saved by an act you couldn't predict? That's His signature, etched into your story. But God's signs aren't always so dramatic, they can be quiet, too. Think of Sarah, a teacher who felt stuck in a dead-end job, her dreams of writing a book fading with each passing year. One evening, feeling defeated, she prayed, "God, if you're there, give me a sign." The next day, she found an old journal in her attic, filled with stories she'd written as a teen. On a whim, she typed one up and shared it online. It went viral within hours. A publisher contacted her, and now Sarah's a best-selling author. Chosen one, That journal wasn't buried by accident, it was God nudging her, a subtle sign of his plan unfolding. Have you stumbled across something, a memory, an idea, a chance, that felt too perfect to be random? That's God, whispering your next step. So, how do you know God is present? It's in the patterns, chosen one, the way things fall into place when you've stopped forcing them. It's the unexpected provision, like a tax refund you didn't expect, or a gift from a relative just when your account hit zero. It's the resilience you discover within yourself, the ability to rise after a fall you thought would end you. In Psalm 23 verse 1, David declares, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." That's not just poetry, it's a promise that God's presence ensures your needs are met, often before you even ask. Have you ever looked back and realized you made it through a season you thought would break you? That's God, walking with you, leaving signs of his care along the way. Can you see them now, or are you still searching through the fog? Let's explore how God comes to you more deeply. Sometimes, he arrives through nature, a breeze that cools your face when you're overwhelmed, a rainbow after a storm reminding you of his covenant, as in Genesis 9 verse 13. Other times, it's through people. Think of the friend who texts you out of nowhere, saying, "I was just thinking of you," right when you needed to feel seen. Or it might be an inner nudge, a gut feeling to take a risk that pays off in ways you couldn't foresee. Chosen one, have you felt that pull, that quiet assurance that defies logic? That's God, speaking to your spirit, guiding you toward his blessings. In John 10 verse 27, Jesus says, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." You're his sheep, chosen one, his voice is calling, and the signs are all around if you tune your heart to listen. Now, let's hear another story. Daniel, a factory worker, lost his job during a layoffs wave. With a family to feed and no savings, he prayed nightly, "God, show me you're here." One morning, walking to a job interview he doubted he'd get, he found a $20 bill on the sidewalk, just enough for bus fare and a meal. At the interview, the manager said, "Something told me to hire you." Daniel got the job, excelled, and later started his own company. That $20 wasn't just money, it was a sign, a breadcrumb from God leading him forward. Chosen one, have you found small gifts like that, money, time, a chance, that kept you going? That's God, proving he's in the details. But how should you receive these blessings, chosen one? First, with awareness, train your eyes to spot the signs, not dismiss them as flukes. When a stranger helps you, when an idea strikes, pause and whisper, "Thank you, God." Second, with faith, trust that these moments aren't random, but part of his plan. Hebrews 11 verse 6 says, "Without faith it is impossible to please him, for whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him." Believe, chosen one, he's rewarding you now. Third, with gratitude, let every sign fuel your praise, because a thankful heart opens the door to more. And finally, with action, when God sends a sign, step into it. Take the job, accept the help, write the story. Don't shrink back, his blessings are yours to claim. Let me tell you about Rachel. She was a nurse, burned out and broke, praying for a way out. One day, a patient's family tipped her generously, more than she'd earned in a week. She hesitated, thinking, "I don't deserve this." But she heard a voice inside, "Receive it, it's from me." She used that money to enroll in a course, landed a better job, and now mentors others. Chosen one, she could have rejected that blessing, but she welcomed it with faith, and it changed her life. What about you? Are you pushing away God's gifts out of doubt, or are you ready to receive with open hands? God's signs are everywhere, chosen one. They're in the laughter of a child that lifts your spirit, the song on the radio that speaks to your pain, the dream you wake up from with a new idea. They're in the delays that protect you, the losses that redirect you, the victories that remind you he's near. Matthew 6 verse 26 says, "Look at the birds of the air, they neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? You are, chosen one, infinitely more. His blessings aren't accidents, they're evidence of His love, tailored for you. Can you see them now, or will you start looking today? Let's wrap this with one last story. Thomas, a struggling artist, prayed for a break after years of rejection. One day, a gallery owner saw his work online, someone had shared it without him knowing, and offered him a show. That show launched his career, and now he paints full-time, blessing others with his art. Chosen one, that share wasn't random, it was God, moving through others to lift him up. Have you seen someone step into your life at just the right moment? That's His sign, telling you you're not alone. So, chosen one, how will you receive God's blessings? Open your eyes to His ways, quiet or loud, small or grand. Trust His presence, thank Him for every sign, and step boldly into what He offers. The signs are here, proving He's with you, preparing your abundance. Look for them, believe in them, and watch how they multiply in your life. A higher purpose. Chosen one, let's lift our eyes beyond the horizon of your immediate struggles, because what God has in store for you isn't just about filling your bank account, it's about igniting a purpose so vast it ripples through eternity. Have you ever felt a restless yearning deep in your soul, a whisper that there's more to your life than the daily grind? What if those dreams you've harbored, the ones too big to speak aloud, aren't just fantasies but divine seeds planted by God Himself? Chosen one, your abundance isn't meant to end with you, it's a tool, a gift, a calling to bless, to heal, and to transform lives far beyond your own. This is your higher purpose, and it's unfolding right now. Think back to Genesis 12, where God called Abraham with a promise, I will bless you, and you will be a blessing. Abraham wasn't blessed just to hoard wealth, his abundance became a conduit for nations, a legacy that still echoes today. Chosen one, that's the blueprint God's tracing over your life. Have you ever wondered why your heart aches for something greater, why you can't settle for a life of mere survival? It's because God didn't create you to scrape by, He crafted you to shine, to pour out His goodness into a world desperate for hope. What if every struggle you've faced was training for this moment, preparing you to carry a purpose that changes everything? Let's meet Daniel, a man whose story mirrors this truth. Daniel was a mechanic in a small town, barely making ends meet, his hands stained with grease and his heart heavy with worry. One day, while fixing a client's car, he overheard her story. She was a single mother, fighting cancer, and couldn't afford the repairs she needed to get to her chemo appointments. Her voice cracked as she said, I don't know what I'll do. Daniel felt a tug, a quiet nudge he couldn't ignore. He fixed her car for free, slipping a note under the wiper that read, God sees you. That small act sparked something. She told her friends, who told their friends, and soon Daniel's shop became a refuge for the desperate, widows, single parents, people down on their luck. He'd work late into the night, not for profit, but for purpose. Word spread like wildfire. A local charity caught wind of Daniel's quiet generosity and offered him a grant. With it, he expanded his shop, hiring others who'd been out of work, turning his little garage into a chain of repair centers for the underprivileged. Years later, standing in one of his bustling shops, Daniel wiped a tear and said, I used to ask God, why me? Now I ask, who else can I help? Chosen one, what if your wealth isn't just for you? What if it's the seed for a movement, a lifeline for someone else's miracle? Daniel didn't chase that purpose, it found him when he said yes to God's call. Could that be your story too? Let's pause and reflect. Have you ever felt a pull to do more, to give more, to be more? Maybe you've brushed it off, thinking, I don't have enough to make a difference. Chosen one, God doesn't need you to have it all figured out, He needs your willingness. Look at the boy in John 6, who offered 5 loaves and 2 fish. It wasn't much, but in Jesus' hands, it fed thousands. What if your not enough is exactly what God wants to multiply? Your higher purpose isn't about your limits, it's about His limitless power working through you. Can you imagine the lives you could touch, the chains you could break, if you surrendered to this calling? Now, let's dream bigger. What if your abundance funded a shelter for the homeless? What if it built a school in a forgotten village? What if it inspired a generation to believe in hope again? Chosen one, God's blessings on you aren't a finish line, they're a starting point. Think of Esther in the Bible. She was an orphan, a nobody by the world's standards, yet God raised her to a queen's throne, not for her own glory, but to save her people. Her wealth, her position, her very life became a vessel for divine deliverance. Have you ever felt small, insignificant, like your life couldn't matter that much? God saying, "You're wrong, I've chosen you for such a time as this." Let me tell you about Maria, a woman whose life proves this. Maria grew up in a cramped apartment, her family scraping by on odd jobs. She'd watch her mother sew late into the night, praying for a better tomorrow. As a young adult, Maria landed a modest job at a bakery, but her heart burned to help others like her mom. One day, a customer left a generous tip, far more than the bill, and said, "Use this for something good." Maria did. She started a small fund, collecting donations from neighbors, baking extra bread to give away. That fund grew into a community kitchen, feeding hundreds each week. Years later, a grant turned it into a full nonprofit, and now Maria's network of kitchens spans her city, offering meals and job training to the needy. "I was just a baker," she says, "but God saw a builder." Chosen one, what could he build through you? Let's dive deeper into this calling. In Matthew 5 verse 16, Jesus says, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Your higher purpose isn't about self, it's about pointing others to God's glory. Have you ever felt selfish for wanting abundance, like it's wrong to desire more? Chosen one, it's not wrong when that desire aligns with His will. God doesn't bless you to hoard, He blesses you to overflow. What if every dollar you receive becomes a tool for His kingdom? What if every opportunity He opens becomes a bridge for someone else's redemption? Your life isn't meant to be a closed circle, it's a river, flowing outward, watering dry places. Consider Paul, the apostle. Once a persecutor, he became a vessel of God's grace, traveling the ancient world to spread hope. He didn't have wealth in gold, but his purpose was richer than any treasure, bringing light to the lost. Chosen one, your abundance might be money, or it might be influence, courage, or love. Whatever it is, God's asking, will you let me use it? Have you ever doubted your worth, thinking you're too broken to matter? Paul was broken too, yet God chose him. Your cracks are where His light shines through. Let's linger on that. What if your past pain, the rejection, the failures, the nights you cried yourself to sleep, wasn't wasted? What if it was raw material for your purpose? Think of Joseph in Genesis. Sold into slavery, falsely accused, forgotten in prison, yet God used every wound to position him as Egypt's savior. Chosen one, your scars aren't shame, they're credentials for your calling. Have you ever asked, why did I have to go through that? God's answer is, so you can help others through it. Your higher purpose isn't just about receiving, it's about redeeming. Now, picture this, a world where your blessings don't stop at your doorstep. Imagine a child eating a meal because of your generosity, a family reunited because of your courage, a community rebuilt because of your faith. Chosen one, that's not a pipe dream, that's God's vision for you. Let me tell you about Samuel, a man I met years ago. He was a carpenter, laid off during a recession, his tools gathering dust. One day, he volunteered to fix a neighbor's porch for free. That act led to more requests, and soon he was repairing homes for struggling families. A church noticed, funded his efforts, and now Samuel leads a team building houses for the homeless. I thought I'd lost everything, he said, but God gave me a purpose bigger than a paycheck. What could your hands build, chosen one? Let's take it further. In Isaiah 61, God promises to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes. That's your mission, to turn ashes into beauty, despair into hope. Have you ever felt powerless, like the world's problems are too big? Chosen one, you're not powerless, you're partnered with the Almighty. What if your abundance isn't just financial? What if it's the strength to lift others, the wisdom to guide, the love to heal? God's calling you to a purpose that outlasts you, a legacy that echoes into eternity. One final story, Grace, a teacher in a struggling school. She saw kids hungry, hopeless, their futures dim. With her modest salary, she started a lunch program, small, just sandwiches at first. Parents joined, then businesses, and now her program feeds and tutors hundreds of students, breaking cycles of poverty. I didn't have much, Grace says, but God made it enough. Chosen one, your not much is enough in His hands. What could you start today? What seed could you plant? So, chosen one, here's the truth, your higher purpose isn't a burden, it's a privilege. God's blessing you not to sit still, but to stand up, to reach out, to light up the dark. Have you felt that tug, that call to be more? That's Him. Say yes, and watch Him turn your life into a miracle for others. Your abundance is coming, will you let it flow? Chosen one, we've journeyed far together, and now we stand at the threshold of something extraordinary. This isn't just the end of a video, it's the beginning of a transformation that will ripple through your life and beyond. So, what does it all mean? What lessons can you carry forward? What steps must you take to claim the blessings God has prepared for you? Let's unpack this divine wisdom together, because you're not just here to hear, you're here to act, to rise, and to shine as the chosen one you were always meant to be. First, let's distill the lessons from this sacred encounter. Every struggle you faced, every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, wasn't a prison sentence, it was a divine classroom. Those hardships taught you resilience, molding you into someone who can withstand the storms and still stand tall. Every closed door wasn't a rejection, it was a redirection, guiding you toward a path far greater than the one you'd planned. And every unanswered prayer. It wasn't God ignoring you, it was Him preparing something better, something so magnificent it required time to align perfectly. Chosen one, your life is a testament to God's faithfulness. The question isn't why did I suffer, but what did I learn? And the answer is clear, you've learned to trust, to endure, and to hope against all odds. That's the foundation of your success. So, what must you do to receive God's blessings? It starts with faith, unwavering, unshakable faith. Hebrews 11 verse 6 tells us, without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to Him must believe that He exists and that He rewards those who earnestly seek Him. Chosen one, do you believe? Do you trust that God sees you, hears you, and has a plan for you? Faith isn't passive, it's active. It's waking up each day and saying, Lord, I don't see it yet, but I trust You're working. It's stepping forward even when the path is foggy, knowing He's lighting the way. Have you been holding back, waiting for proof before you leap? God says, leap first, and I'll catch you. That's how you open the door to His provision. Next, surrender. To receive God's blessings, you must let go of the need to control everything. For too long, you've carried the weight of your worries, bills, jobs, dreams, like a burden you're afraid to drop. But Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 urges, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. Chosen one, can you release the reins? Can you stop striving in your own strength and rest in His? Surrender doesn't mean giving up, it means giving over. It's handing God the broken pieces of your life and saying, I can't fix this, but You can. When you do, you'll feel the weight lift, and His blessings will flow like a river unchained. How do you welcome this abundance? With an open heart and a grateful spirit. Philippians 4 verse 6 says, Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Chosen one, are you thanking Him even now, before the breakthrough arrives? Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's coming. It's standing in the desert and praising Him for the rain you can't yet see. Start each day with a simple prayer: "Thank you, God, for what you've done and what you're about to do." That act of worship invites His presence, and where His presence is, His provision follows. Have you been too focused on the lack to see the promise? Lift your eyes, abundance is on the horizon. Now, how do you succeed in this new season? Success isn't about hustle anymore, it's about alignment. Align your will with God's. Seek His guidance in every decision, big or small. Psalm 37 verse 4 promises, "Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." Chosen one, what delights your soul? What dreams has God planted in you? Success comes when you chase His purpose, not the world's applause. It's not about working harder, it's about working wiser, trusting Him to open the right doors at the right time. Stop chasing the wind and start walking in His wind. Have you been running in circles, exhausted by your own efforts? Pause, pray, and let God lead, success will follow. But here's the key: once you've received these blessings, don't hoard them. God doesn't bless the selfish, He blesses the generous. In Luke 6 verse 38, Jesus says, "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over, will be poured into your lap." Chosen one, what will you do with your abundance? Will you clutch it tightly, or will you let it flow through you to others? God's favor isn't a trophy to display, it's a tool to share. Think of the parable of the talents. The servant who buried his gift lost it, but those who invested there saw it multiply. Your blessings are seeds, plant them in the lives of others, and watch God multiply them back to you. Have you been tempted to keep it all for yourself? God says, "Give, and I'll give you more." Let me tell you about Thomas. He was a man drowning in debt, barely scraping by, until one day a surprise inheritance cleared his slate. He could have stopped there, built a comfortable life, and called it a day. But Thomas felt a nudge. He took half that money and funded a shelter for the homeless in his town. Within a year, his small business tripled in profit, and he's now a pillar in his community. Why? Because he shared God's blessing. Chosen one, your story can echo his. What if your wealth fed a family? What if your success inspired a child? God's with those who give. Selfishness drives him away, but generosity keeps him near. Let's go deeper. To stay in this flow of blessings, live with purpose. God didn't choose you for mediocrity, He chose you for impact. Ephesians 2 verse 10 declares, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Chosen one, what good works are calling you? Maybe it's mentoring someone lost, starting a project that heals, or simply being a light in a dark place. Success isn't just financial, it's fulfilling the calling God etched into your soul. Have you been playing small, afraid to step out? God says, "Step boldly, your purpose awaits." Here's a practical guide. Start each morning in prayer, not just asking, but listening. Ask, "God, what do you want me to do today?" Then obey the still, small voice. Share what you have, time, money, kindness, even when it feels risky. Trust His timing, even when it's slow. And when blessings come, don't stop praising. Thanksgiving keeps the channel open. Chosen one, can you commit to this rhythm? It's not a formula, it's a relationship. Live it, and you'll see miracles unfold. Let me share another story. Sarah was a single mother, struggling to feed her kids. One day, a stranger paid her grocery bill, an answered prayer. Instead of hoarding that relief, she baked cookies and gave them to her neighbors, sparking friendships that later brought her a job offer. Her small act of giving turned a blessing into a cascade. Chosen one, your generosity can do the same. What if your kindness today opened tomorrow's door? God's watching, He multiplies the open hand, not the clenched fist. So, here's your charge, trust Him with every fiber of your being. Surrender your fears, your plans, your doubts. Welcome His gifts with gratitude and humility. Align your life with His will, and let success flow from obedience. Then, share it, be a river, not a reservoir. Chosen one, your life is about to become a living testimony to God's goodness. The world will see His glory through you, not because you're perfect, but because you're faithful. Stay steadfast, keep giving, and watch Him work wonders. Subscribe for more. We're walking this divine path together, and I can't wait to see what God does next in your life.